Once upon a time, in the heart of Abadan, there lived a woman named Ruth. She was married to a tall, charming man named Victor, and for 8 long years, they were seen as the perfect couple. Matching Sunday outfits, romantic posts on Facebook, sweet anniversary videos. People around them would say, "God really gave you your own. You two are couple goals." But what they didn't know was that behind the camera smiles and couple selfies, something was terribly wrong. Ruth was a good woman, quiet, respectful, and hardworking. She ran a small food business from home. Her coconut rice and smoky jollof were famous in the area. Victor, on the other hand, worked in a big oil company in Port Harcourt and only came home on weekends. At first, everything was fine, but slowly Victor changed. He stopped calling as much. He stopped saying, "I miss you." His weekend visits became once in 2 weeks, then once a month. And even when he came, his phone was always in his hand. He smiled at the screen more than he smiled at Ruth. Whenever she came close to his phone, he would shift. "Don't touch that," he'd say with a fake laugh, but his eyes were sharp like razor. Ruth started sleeping with one eye open. She wasn't the shouting type, but her spirit could feel it. Something was wrong. One Sunday, Victor came home, claiming he had Bible study in town. He smelled like perfume that wasn't hers and smiled too much. Later that evening, he dropped his phone on the couch and entered the bathroom. And for the first time in forever, he forgot to lock the phone. Ruth was just about to go into the kitchen when the phone lit up. A message. "Baby, last night was hot and sweet like fire. I miss you already. Love you, face blowing a kiss." The sender's name? Sugar. Ruth's hand went cold. She picked up the phone. Her fingers shook. Her throat felt dry. She opened the message. There it was, a full chat thread. Sweet names. Dirty words. Pictures. Videos. And then the profile picture of Sugar. A young girl wearing a bodycon dress, makeup like war paint, and a status that read, "No shame in my game. If he's stupid, I'll snatch him." Ruth sat down. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just sat still, breathing slowly. From the bathroom, Victor was singing, "You are Yahweh, Alpha and Omega." Ruth blinked. "You're singing to God, after last night?" She smiled. A very strange smile. Then she got up and quietly deleted the chat. Not because she was afraid, but because she didn't want to warn him yet. That night, she served his food. She even laughed at his jokes. When he reached for her waist to playfully tease her, she smiled. But deep inside her, something hard was forming. A storm. A decision. She wasn't going to fight Sugar like a local wife. She wasn't going to beg Victor either. She was going to teach both of them a lesson they'd never forget. By 4 a.m., Ruth was already awake. She sat at her dining table, dressed in wrapper and scarf, staring at Victor's sleeping body on the couch. She opened her diary and wrote one line. Lesson 1, Sugar will melt. Then she picked up her phone and whispered, "Time to find out who this girl really is." Ruth had always been quiet. She wasn't the type to scream or throw things when angry. But deep inside her, she had fire, silent fire. And now, that fire had found a reason to burn. She sat on her bed later that day, scrolling through Victor's social media. She had memorized Sugar's picture. That tight red dress. That bold lipstick. That wicked smirk. She zoomed in again. Something about the girl looked familiar. She paused. Thought. Looked again. Then it hit her. That's Naomi's cousin. The one who came for Christmas last year. Ruth's chest tightened. Yes, she had seen her at the family party. She had even served her food. "You ate my rice and stole my husband?" Ruth shook her head. She didn't cry. Instead, she opened her WhatsApp and messaged her old school friend, Tina. Tina was the queen of social media gossip. "Babe, I need small help. Do you know this girl?" She sent Sugar's picture. Tina replied immediately. "Ah, that's Precious. Her full name is Precious Adebayo. She works at a spa in Lekki." "Why?" "Babe, that girl na shawoo. Be careful." Ruth smiled. Lekki. Spa. She had everything she needed. Over the next week, Ruth changed. She started dressing up. Not for Victor, but for herself. She wore makeup, sprayed sweet perfume. She laughed louder, posted pictures, joined a business seminar online. Victor noticed. You look different these days," he said one morning. Ruth smiled. "Do I? Maybe I just found peace." He kissed her cheek. "I like it." She turned her face away. Liar. Victor had no idea what she was planning. By Saturday, He told her he wouldn't be coming home again. Work things, he claimed. Ruth nodded. No problem, love. But she wasn't worried. She had already booked a Bolt ride. Destination? Lekki Phase 1. She didn't go alone. She took her friend Tina, who had a big iPhone and zero fear. They reached the spa around 12:30 p.m. And there she was. Precious, aka Sugar, looking proud, chewing gum, and flipping her Brazilian hair like she owned the world. Tina whispered, "That's her. You want to go inside?" Ruth said, "No." She pulled out her own phone and began recording. Over the next few days, Ruth created a new Instagram page. She didn't post hate. She didn't insult. She just started a story series. Dear Sugar. Each post had a calm message. Photos of women smiling, with quotes like, "You stole him, but not my peace. Sugar melts in heat. Be careful where you hide. My silence is not stupidity. It's strategy." People started following. Women commented, "Sister, talk to us. This is healing. You're a queen." Even Tina laughed and said, "Babe, you're going viral." Oh, Ruth wasn't surprised. She knew. She was just getting started. 2 weeks later, Victor came home, smiling like a politician. "My dear wife, you're glowing. This new look is working." Ruth smiled and served him pepper soup. Then she said gently, "There's a message for you online. From someone named Sugar." Victor froze. What do you mean?" Ruth wiped her hands and sat across from him. "Your girlfriend. I met her. Cute girl." She sipped her water. "But tell her, the heat is just beginning." Victor dropped his spoon. He stared at Ruth like she had grown wings. "You met her? Who told you anything?" Ruth didn't raise her voice. She just smiled. "I didn't need to be told. You made it easy. You posted her by mistake. You left her scent on your shirt. You kept sleeping out. Everything told me." Victor began to sweat. "Look, Ruth, I was going to end things." Ruth cut him off. "No, you weren't. You were going to keep enjoying both sides until I became a shadow. But I've remembered who I am." She stood up and walked away. Victor didn't follow her. He just sat there, trapped in shame. But Ruth was done arguing. She had a plan, and it was already in motion. 3 days later, a video started going viral. A secret camera had recorded a scene at the Lekki spa. It showed a girl arguing loudly with a customer, her voice sharp, her attitude proud. She was clearly being disrespectful. The caption read, "This is the girl that breaks homes but can't handle customer service." People flooded the comments. "She's beautiful but rude." "Wait, is this the same Precious from the Dear Sugar page?" Others tagged the spa. That same evening, the spa released a statement. "We do not support the unprofessional behavior displayed in the circulating video. Precious Adebayo is no longer employed with us." Yes, Ruth had leaked the video. She didn't insult her. She didn't raise her hand. She just exposed her, using her own character. Precious, Sugar, went mad. She tried to defend herself online. "It's a lie. This woman is bitter. Her husband chased her, not me." But nobody believed her. Women dragged her. Men insulted her. Some even dropped screenshots. "I know this girl. She DM'd my friend's husband too." Her online followers dropped fast. Meanwhile, Ruth's Dear Sugar page hit 50,000 followers. She was now invited to talk shows, women's events, and brand deals. Even radio hosts were quoting her captions. Victor watched everything unfold in shock. His own wife, Quiet Ruth, was becoming a star. One night, Victor came to her shaking. "Please stop this. It's enough. Everyone is laughing at me." Ruth looked him in the eye. "You laughed at me first." Victor knelt down. "Ruth, I made a mistake." Ruth shook her head slowly. "No, Victor. A mistake is one wrong step. You built a whole relationship on lies. That's not a mistake. That's a choice." She turned away, and as she walked into her room, her phone buzzed. It was a message from a major media house. "We'd love to feature your story. You're inspiring women everywhere." Ruth smiled. She didn't burn down the house. She just turned on the heat and watched Sugar melt. The next morning, Ruth got an unexpected call. "Hello. Is this the woman behind Dear Sugar?" "Yes," she replied. The voice whispered, "You need to be careful. Precious has family. Powerful ones. They're planning something." Ruth froze. Was the fire getting too hot? Or was this just the beginning of a bigger fight? Ruth sat alone on her bed. Victor had hurt her. Precious had mocked her. Now, both of them were begging for help. Victor had lost his respect. Precious had lost her job. The world had finally seen the truth. But Ruth wasn't smiling. She wasn't dancing. She wasn't even laughing. Because revenge doesn't bring peace. Not the kind that lasts. The next morning, Ruth dressed up. Not in her usual wrapper. Today, she wore a clean white blouse, smart trousers, and low heels. She looked strong, peaceful, ready. She got into her car and drove straight to Precious's apartment. Precious opened the door in shock. Her face was swollen, her eyes red. Her room was scattered like a storm passed through. "Ruth, you came?" Ruth stepped in, looked around, then said softly, "I got your letter." Precious nodded slowly. "I'm really sorry," she whispered. "I wasn't thinking. I was greedy." Ruth sat down. She looked her straight in the eye and said, "You broke my heart, Precious. You laughed behind my back. You insulted me." Precious lowered her head in shame. "I know. I've lost everything. Nobody wants to work with me again. My uncle disowned me. My friends disappeared." Ruth reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. Precious flinched. "What's that?" she asked. "Money," Ruth replied. "To start again. Somewhere fresh. Somewhere quiet." Precious gasped. "Why would you do that?" "Because I'm not like you," Ruth said calmly. "I don't destroy people. I rebuild myself." Later that day, Ruth met with Victor's boss. He was surprised when she walked into the office. "Madam Ruth," the man said, "we appreciate your time." Ruth nodded. "Victor is not perfect," she began, "but he's a good worker. This mistake, it was personal. Please don't take away his whole future." The boss raised his eyebrows. "You're still defending him?" Ruth smiled. "No, I'm defending who he used to be. Maybe he can become that again." Victor was called in shortly after. He saw Ruth there, his mouth dropped. Why did you help me?" Ruth stood up and picked up her bag. "Because I've moved on. You can carry your shame. I won't carry bitterness." Then she left. Victor sat down, eyes full of water. 2 months later, Ruth was walking out of a women's empowerment event in Abuja. She had just finished giving a talk titled, "How to Rise When Life Breaks You." People clapped. Some hugged her. One woman cried and said, "You gave me courage to leave my cheating husband." "Thank you." Ruth smiled gently. She felt light. She felt free. And for the first time in years, she felt fully alive. She looked up at the sky and whispered, "God, thank you. They thought they were destroying me, but they pushed me into my power." As Ruth got into her car, her phone buzzed. It was a message. From Victor. "I saw your interview on TV today. You looked beautiful. I'm proud of you. I'm sorry for everything." Ruth stared at the message. Then she calmly deleted it and whispered to herself, "Some lessons must stay with those who refuse to learn." Then she drove off into the sunset, not as a broken wife, not as a bitter woman, but as a queen who turned her pain into power.